I'm AJ, and this is Isabella.
And we're your hosts for The Rock today.
Hey, are you going to the band and choir concerts coming up this month?
Nah, I got plans. Netflix ain't gonna watch itself.
Well, you're definitely going to want to go after you watch this segment made by Isaac Hansen about the concert. Roll it!
Concert choir graduated half of the group last year, and so that's always a little bit scary to know that half the group is new, and I think they've done a great job kind of coming together and developing their own sound and blend and work ethic.
Competitions. You gotta live to compete in everything you do.
My favorite part is just hearing things come together after working on it. Like at the beginning, everyone's kind of lost, and then at the end, it really comes together.
Leander really cares about her students, and it's really awesome. Not to say that other teachers don't, but it's really nice to have a teacher who really believes in her students and likes to have a good time too.
And we work on pretty difficult literature for a chunk of time and then perform it for a panel of 3 or 4 judges, and then we're evaluated also on sight reading in a separate room after our performance.
What do you think of Western Washington University?
It's a cool place. There's lots of cool artwork. They have good food at the food court.
Would you agree?
Lunch was good. I recommend the Greek salad.
Greek salad? Nice.
Contest went really well. I feel like we did a good job. There were a few other choirs that were better than us. Mostly the guys that had like the sparkly vests and the socks. Those are pretty cool.
Our next concert is Tuesday, the March 28th at 7 o'clock, and we would love to have you there and get a flavor for what we do. We have almost 200 students involved.
You should come see the concert because it's a lot of fun, and you probably have a lot of classmates in it. And it's good to support them. Grand old time.
Please come to our next choir concert. I don't know when it is.
March 28th.
But when it is,
March 28th.
please come to it. And if you really want to, join choir. It's a lot of fun. I didn't know I could sing.
Whoa. Guess I'm just gonna have to skip Netflix on the 28th.
Hey, speaking of music, did you know that our school got a new choir band director?
Really? So did Colin McPhee produce a segment on her?
You know he did.
Roll it.
So my name is Sarah Van Zanten, and I am the long-term band substitute for Ian Zimmerson. I graduated from Western Washington University last December, and I actually finished my student teaching up at Mount Baker High School, and the day after I finished student teaching there, I moved down to Anacortes. I actually started playing in band when I was a 6th grader, so when I was 11 years old. I started out on tenor saxophone, and I did that for 3 years. After that, while I was a sophomore, they asked if I would switch to contrabass clarinet, and that's this big gargantuan instrument, and so that was my primary instrument for the last 3 years of high school. And then when I went into Western to audition on contrabass clarinet, they said you needed to pick up clarinet and bass clarinet, so bass clarinet became my primary instrument as well as clarinet. So I play a bunch of stuff. I heard that the position was open when I was student teaching. Carol Leander actually went and talked to my cooperating teacher, Mr. Sutton, and said, hey, is your student teacher interested in potentially filling in for a position? And so I applied for the job. I came down here and interviewed, and got a call a couple weeks later saying, hey, we'd like to have you come down here and work.
Seems like I'm learning something new every day.
Well, did you hear about that guy who those students saved while playing golf?
What? No, really?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, well, did someone make a segment on it?
Yeah, Carson Paddock did. Let's check it out.
Roll it.
March 6th, we were out here playing hole 14, and we started hearing help, help, help over off in that direction. And at first we thought it was one of the golfer guys just playing around, saying help and stuff, and then we were like, oh, it kept going. It just kept going, and so we were like, okay, let's actually run out there and see what's happening.
That morning, George Howard headed out on the golf course, and you know, like on a bad day like that, there's not a lot of people out there. So this was about 9 a.m. and he's doing his round of golf, hits a shot into the woods, and goes to retrieve his ball, jumps over this ditch, falls, gets stuck in the blackberry bushes. So he lays there for about 7-8 hours, but nobody's out on the course, no one's coming by.
So out there by that porta potty is where we heard George from. This is where they're at the area that he was at. So he shouted pretty loud, because that's a pretty long ways away.
So this pit, you can see all the footprints down here. This is where George was when we found him. Those are the 2 prints from his knees. I told John to get on the phone, call an ambulance and the coach and tell him what was happening while I was here with George, trying to comfort him and calm him down and show him that we were calling the police. The ambulance. Yeah, and Jake put a couple jackets around his shoulders trying to keep him warm, because by that point he'd been soaked completely through. He'd been in the pit for about 8 hours at that point, so he was pretty shivering, and you know, at 88 he was a bit of an ordeal.
When the paramedics, when they got here, they were like, good thing you boys called, because he was doing pretty bad. And then when we talked to George, he always says, I had about like 5 minutes left, and that was my last cry for help, and then I would have been gone.
Had it not been for Jake and John to go out on the course that day, likelihood of George surviving the night was not very good.
I feel like anybody would have done what we did in our scenario. It's pretty spooky, so
yeah.
you don't think that this is going to happen in Anacortes especially, so it was like when this is happening, you're like, wow, this is actually happening, you know.
Yeah, we just had the good fortune of being the only ones to come out that day.
Ah, yeah! Whoa, it's good they found him. That must have been a huge ordeal.
You know, speaking of ordeals, we had a much smaller one earlier this month.
What are you talking about?
The school's power outage.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Didn't Jackson Fryer make a segment on it?
You know it.
Roll that segment.
Okay, so on Monday at about 3:30 a.m., a motor vehicle accident happened in the 3200 block of M Avenue. The driver struck a telephone pole, which caused the power outage to portions of the city, as well as most of the schools. The power, I believe, came back on around 7 a.m. Puget Sound Energy had to come out and repair the poles, as well as the telephone company to work on the telephones to get them working again.
Monday morning, we get a call at 5 a.m. from the superintendent that we don't have power, and so then he said we were going to wait till 7 o'clock a.m. to make a decision if we were going to cancel school, but it was going to be a 2-hour delay. I got to school at 7, and I knew we would have internet issues, and we had lots of them. As it turned out, one of our main switches that runs all our servers for the district was fried. We have 4 people at the district tech office, and they worked extra hours to get it all up and running as soon as they got the switch and the patch the night before.
The power outage affected me most with my pre-calculus class, because I give the students notes so they don't have to take down everything on the board, and I couldn't get to those notes because they were on the internet. My other classes I haven't gotten quite so technologically savvy, so they went fine.
It's crazy our school can actually run without internet for a day.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, it looks like we're out of segments for today, but remember to catch Avenue Q this weekend.
Yeah, it's tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday at 7 o'clock, and then Sunday there's a matinee at 2 o'clock.
Well, we gotta go.
So from our rack to yours,
Have a great day, AHS.